hurts so much. It is not the sound of my back cracking, in case you're wanting to share.
What's good? Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I'm a 33-year-old man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid. I read them as an adult because I was on a quest to determine if society had been sleeping on the series, and I said yes, and now I'm seeing if society is currently sleeping on the ongoing Percy Jackson and the Olympians TV show. I'm very excited to do more episodes about it. We did episodes about season 1. Now we're doing season 2. If this is your first time listening to The Newest Olympian, hello and welcome. Most traditionally, the episodes of this podcast are me making my way through the book series. I've read the first 5 Percy Jackson books. I'm currently on the House of Hades in the Heroes of Olympus series, but we are pausing our coverage. We just finished Mark of Athena. Now we're going to talk about this, and then we'll do House of Hades afterwards. But we're going to be doing an episode for each episode of the TV show, kind of just going through it beat by beat, talking about the things we liked, things that we enjoyed, trying to guess what happens next. And then there will also be some bonus episodes spliced in between, potentially with interview footage from the junkets that I did, other press stuff, maybe an episode talking about how I was fortunate enough to attend the premiere. And speaking of that premiere, let's introduce our guest for this episode, someone who's been on the podcast a lot, and she was my date to the world premiere of Percy Jackson and the Olympian Season 2 in Los Angeles. It's Kelly Schubert. Kelly, how's it going?
Hello, it's going good.
I'm so delighted to be here, sitting so close to you, sharing a single microphone. The context here is that we were at the premiere in LA. We today caught a flight to visit some family for the holidays, and we've got a little tiny microphone set up in an office in an in-law's place, and there are some toddlers rambunctiously playing above us. So if there's a couple of jumping noises, that's them jumping off of couches safely, but a little different vibe than a traditional TNO episode, but a fun vibe nonetheless.
Yes.
Did you enjoy your time at the premiere?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
What was your favorite part? I do think we'll do a whole separate episode about it because we don't want to harp on it too much. But what was the favorite thing you did and the favorite thing you ate?
My favorite thing I ate. They started bringing the dessert trays around, and they had that little, I don't even know what it was, a little like tart with fruit on top and something creamy inside. Oh, it was great.
It's certainly some sort of traditional tart where it's like a flaky little thing and then a little white cream in the middle and then, you know, a couple of blueberries, a raspberry, and a strawberry. I've had so many of those throughout my years, and they're always not as good as they look. Like, they always look pretty and then the flaky doesn't work well. And then you had one and your was so audibly loud that I asked for one, and it was the best one I had, and then I had like 3 or 4 that night.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
I've been eating those things for years and they always disappoint, and the ones at the premiere hit real hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, favorite thing that you did or favorite conversation that you had? Hello, the correct answer is talking to Jason Mantzoukas about Taskmaster. How was this a debate? I gave you that on a silver platter.
Yeah, so we were coming out of watching the episode, the world premiere of the episode in the theater in the Academy Museum. And we got shuffled into this line, and right kind of next to behind-ish us was Jason Mantzoukas, which was very cool. We were like very aware of the fact that he was there all of a sudden. And then someone came through and provided us with a fantastic opener.
Someone came through and they were like, because at these premieres, they have the people involved in the show, and then they have the press, and then they have random people, like some Instagram influencers, and then this person, maybe they were someone's family or whatever. But I think
they also do, like, you can enter sweepstakes and things like that. Like, they have some fans there. They have family of people there.
Whoever this was, this person had no chill, and they ran up and they were like, Jason, I just wanted to say that Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of my favorite shows, and I just loved you in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And then he was very polite, super polite, given how awkward this was. This person was like all out of breath, super excited to meet him. He was very polite, and then when they went away, way, I leaned over to Jason because in the screening, they're telling people to be quiet. But the way that they tell people to be quiet is they had Jason as Mr. D yelling at people to stop making noise. So I leaned over to him and I was like, I loved you as Guy's voice in this theater for this screening. And he laughed about that. And then Kelly leaned over.
And I said, I liked you at Taskmaster. And he said, yes.
And then we talked to him about Taskmaster for a good couple of minutes as we walked from the screening to the after party. And he was a delight. He was such a nice guy.
He was great. He was very nice.
Yeah. He was also very impressed because we went to a Taskmaster filming of the last season. So that got us in cool points. But okay, enough about Premiere. The other thing we got to talk about before we talk about the episode, a necessary context thing, because I'm going to be like the most annoying person in school who always says, well, at my old school, because in January of this year, 2025, I was fortunate enough to be flown up to Vancouver with some other Percy Jackson podcasters. We went to set for filming towards the end of season 2, and it was delightful. And I've been sitting on this news since January of this year. This is December. It's almost been a full year. But you know, it's a great motivator to keep a secret, a really long and really scary NDA from Disney. Mm-hmm. It's so thorough. It's so particular about the things I can't do and what they can do to me if I break the agreement. So I have recorded some stuff about just detailing my whole experience. I might put that up on the Patreon after the season finishes because there's so many, things that are going to come out in future episodes and stuff of the TV show. But I'll be sprinkling that into the episodes that we do about the TV show. But I think without further ado, should we talk about it or what?
Going to be annoying. You already were annoying about it. We're sitting there in the premiere watching it. And every 10 seconds you go, I was at that set. I touched that armor. I held that sword. I have one of those bandanas. And I just feel like, oh my gosh, I know.
It was weird at certain points to see things and be like, oh yeah, I was standing on that row. Like it was just.
I stood on that step. I touched that door.
It was at least fun when it was a scene that I was there for filming, but yeah, I was probably obnoxious the other parts. But let's go through the story of the episode. First, you get a nice little season 1 recap, and obviously it is very shocking and jarring how young everybody is. Everyone looks very tiny, and I'm sure that the kids have been getting that all in the press, and it's not fun. But it is true that I think Walker was one of the more obvious ones, but I hadn't realized until watching that last time on that Aryan looks and sounds so much younger. And I didn't realize his jump was as drastic. Walker's is quite apparent, but I didn't realize Aryan's until they played that clip.
I just think that decade in everybody's lives, you change so much physically. Mm-hmm. It's been 2 years since they filmed that, or a year and a half since they filmed that.
Longer, I think 3.
Really?
Yeah, because they film it and then it takes a while. Then there was the strike. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's even much longer time. But regardless, I mean, at that time in your life, you're just growing fast.
It makes sense. It's something that I've covered on this podcast as we're talking about teens. I'm always like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Teenagers always think there's such a big difference between 15 and 16. But you see a 15-year-old and then you see a 16-year-old and you're like, you're two different species. And they are so different.
I will say it made me hurry up, film more. I want Heroes of Olympus after. Let's keep going quickly.
I think they're going to have to do an animated thing for Heroes of Olympus, but I think that would be really fun. I
I thought they should just reset everybody. Everybody's new. But that's a lot of casting.
We'll have to see. So the episode begins and...
or I said the other thing that they should do is change the timeline and have Heroes of Olympus be 5 years later.
Yeah, that worked out really well with the Logan Lerman movies, didn't it? For Heroes of Olympus, it could be fine, but I don't know. Let's get into this episode. It's almost been 10 minutes, so we haven't talked about anything yet. So... we get the opening scene of Grover out searching. He's wearing his searcher's outfit. He's wearing the Grover Dana Jones costume. He looks fantastic. And he comes upon a dead satyr skeleton. You see the horns and everything. And you see the pipes. And I was like, oh, right. Mm-hmm. He hasn't used reed pipes yet. This is very, very cool. So I was very excited that he was going to get some reed pipe action going. And then just in classic Grover form, he sprays it with some sort of disinfectant of sorts and just goes, gross, as he does it, which was really, really fun.
Yeah.
So then we see the face of someone in the bushes, and I didn't know who it was at first. And then she emerges, and Grover addresses her by name as Allison, Allie Sims. And Grover identifies her seemingly as someone that he knew from camp. She says she's not a camper anymore, whether that means she graduated or she is defected. It's clear that she's on Luke's side. And I knew about the Allison character being a thing because they wrote about that in some of the press lead up to the show, and they talked about her a little bit when we were on set. I think it's a fun character to introduce, and I really enjoy the choice of bringing her in immediately. It's kind of fun that the first scene is like, hey, here's this person that's new. And I will definitely be saying this in all of these episodes, but I really like when they change stuff because it makes it more fun for the people like us who have read Sea of Monsters and know everything. To not know everything is fun. Like, I don't want to just see, I know. Once you have the variable of Allie, it's like, well, she could do anything.
That's a good point.
She could do anything.
Yeah.
You know, she could be someone that sticks around for multiple seasons. She could die this season. Who the heck knows?
Yeah.
So I like having the unknowns. I liked when they had too many pearls in season 1. Like, I think it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's fun. So I enjoyed her being introduced immediately. She is interrogating Grover, asking him what he found, and then she picks off a tiny little golden fleece strand off of these pipes. And this is one of those things where a newcomer to this story might not know what's up, but anyone who's read it is like, oh yeah, golden fleece, here we go. Grover's trying to get more information out of her, asking if she's part of Luke's rebellion. She says that he knows too much and then pulls up a bow and arrow. So it's like, ooh, is she in the Apollo cabin?
That's what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm. And then Grover does a little doodle-doodle-doot on the reed pipes. Unfortunately, he did not start playing So Yesterday by Hilary Duff, but the vines start acting up and they start tripping people. And that's cool. We have not seen Grover do any magic yet.
Yeah, that was great.
He's only sung the consensus song. So...
What if he just started?
Hoot, 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 hoot. Oh, golly. Yeah, so he starts running away, but then he gets yoinked by Charybdis. And again, this is something new because in the book, he just kind of gets lost along the journey and is just drawn to Pavlophimus' island. He's not like brought there against his will, seemingly as he is in the TV show, yeah?
Isn't there a scene where the reason he's in a wedding dress, he's like in a wedding shop hiding.
Oh, right. Yeah, from what though?
I don't quite remember.
Is he literally doing it, or is that just like the dream? Because the dream in the book is less like they're using it in the show, which is like, I'm seeing exactly what's going on kind of thing. I like how they're doing it in the show where it's kind of combining their two locations at once.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's a little different. So speaking of it being different, Charybdis yoinks Grover out of there, and I'm wondering, is Charybdis in cahoots with Polyphemus? This is very interesting. We'll just kind of have to see how it goes. And then we get the transition from Grover being yoinked away to Percy rolling out of bed. So this would signify that it's a dream. It is very funny. And you get a classic rock song, the song, I believe, by the Cars, and Let the Good Times Roll. And he starts cleaning up his room. He's noticeably bigger in terms of aging up, but whatever, TV show. And there is one thing in particular that you groaned about next to me at the premiere when you first saw it. He's getting his room all cleaned up in quotation marks, but he takes a bowl pretty full of milk and cereal and just shoves it under his bed.
Oh my
and you,
gosh.
What did you say? Like, gross boys?
I said, ew, teenage boys.
Yeah. So later in the premiere, at the after party, we were talking to Walker, and you asked him about that. And he gave us a cool insight in that was not a direct direction given.
I think I asked him, somehow it came up that I thought that was really funny and such a teenage boy thing to do. And he said they just put him in the room and they said, this is your room, do what you would do. And they told me to pick up the bowl of cereal. And I thought, nah, I'm not going to do that. And he shoved it under the bed. And I was like, that is such a gross teenage boy thing. You
great.
are Percy Jackson. It's so funny.
It's really well done. To be just given the direction of just kind of clean stuff up a bit, and then you make the choice to push a full cereal bowl under your bed right at the camera. It's really good. I was so shocked to know that was not scripted because it was so well shot.
Yeah.
So cool.
Or maybe he did it and then they were like, that's good. Set up a camera for it. Do it again.
I could totally see. I mean, James Bobin is the director of that one. That feels like a James Bobin move. He seems so down.
Because the way he said it, it sounds like they put him in the room and they said, do what you would do in your room.
Right.
And then maybe they kind of went off of his vibes for that.
Now, of course, I asked the very important follow-up question. As a big fan of eating cereal, but only as a dessert, I asked, what cereal was it? And he said, Cheerios. So now we get another thing that the show has changed, and I think that it's really well done. They are very efficient in these early episodes. Oh, yeah, context-wise, I've seen this episode 5 times now because I got press junket stuff. When I was doing the press junkets, I was able to see them earlier. So I've seen them multiple times. I've been nitpicking. It was nice to see it at the premiere, not only on the big screen, not only with the nice surround sound, but not with my email address watermarked across the screen. A lot better. Though it is funny because the show, it fades to black a lot. Every time it would fade to black, it would fade to my email address. So it definitely hits a little bit better when it's just, the show without the text of how to contact me on the internet. But they've changed it to where Tyson is already in the mix with Percy. Already bros, already at Sally's place. They change it to where Tyson has been brought in by Sally, met him out volunteering, and then got him enrolled at Percy's school. It's really good. I also like the use of the narrator here to break down the Tyson story, and this is keeping in theme with the first season where you get a little bit of narrator Percy in the first episode, and then the story just kind of takes us, and I think that's a really smart way to do it. But I like the introduction of the Tyson thing. Obviously, it would have been fun to see dodgeball and all the Tyson things and the slow build of it. But I also kind of like, hey, here's the Tyson deal. We got to be efficient.
Yeah, this was a very efficient episode where I feel like they combined a lot of things and got things moving really quickly, which I think is good because the meat of this story is in the middle, not in the setup. Even though the dodgeball is very fun, I think it's a good choice to do what they did.
Right. Especially you're a TV show. You're trying to get people moving and grooving. They got to get out onto the sea of monsters. Yeah. You can't be a camp for too long. We can't be wondering about Tyson for too long. Just different media, different stories in different media. So break down the Tyson stuff and you still get the embarrassing Tyson element. It's a great dynamic that they have kept. Anytime the show changes stuff, they always keep the core. And the core is that Percy is in an awkward spot with Tyson because he cares about him, but he is embarrassed by him and he's trying to figure out how to be a brother. And there is one scene where Tyson, because they're showing a bunch of things at Merriweather Prep, he comes in and like turns on the lights in a classroom that was dark and everyone's like, ah, and they showed the teacher. And I was like, was that teacher Rick? And I had to go back a couple of times. It is not Rick Riordan. I'm intrigued for what his cameo will be because I believe the plan is for him to do a cameo in every single season. So not in this episode.
Keep your eyes peeled for Rick.
I got to keep looking. I want to be able to spot it.
What would you cameo in if you were him and you had your pick for the whole season?
I mean, I can't. I can't talk about. Here's what
the book, not the.
Okay,
scenes.
Yeah, the book. What I've always said is I wanted to be zombie dad on the Princess Andromeda. The zombie dad was like, "We are having fun. Let us go to the pool." Like I would have wanted to do that.
I think that's good.
Yeah. So another thing I noticed is that Percy is wearing his singular bead on the necklace, which is really great. And then we get a really nice scene between Sally and Percy where Sally has a dream. And this is, again, keeping up with season 1. Feels like they're bringing up Sally's seer abilities a little bit more, which I think is fun. And whenever May Castellan gets introduced, that'll be very, very interesting.
It makes that relationship less of an outlier and more of a maybe gods are attracted to these people who can see through the mist kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's fun. So Sally tells Percy that she had a dream. She saw a drachma spinning with a trident on one side and a scythe on the other. And I don't believe that this is in the book. I think that this is something new, but I like it. And she's trying to set up what it could mean. And Percy says that things that seem so opposite could be two sides of the same coin.
Okay, really cool metaphor that they're going with here. I think that's great. I don't understand what it means. Poseidon's the same as...
Oh, I took it as Percy could go on the side of the Olympians or the side of Kronos. Like, what side is he going to choose?
He's flipping a coin. Where is it going to land?
He's the coin flip. What side will he go for?
I see. I thought it was...
Because the great prophecy, it's either going to save the Olympians or destroy them. I feel like this gold coin is like the manifestation of how Percy fits in as the weapon in terms of the prophecy.
Gotcha. Okay, I think that's interesting. Probably cut this out for division's sake. I thought it was something along the lines of like, people say Republicans and Democrats are two-sided the same coin. They're both a machine run by big money.
The actual Democrat and Republican people in office.
Yes.
The
Republican Party and the Democrat Party are big money corporations.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Controlling.
Oh, no, I'm not cutting this out because I believe it.
Oh, yes. I know.
It's like the meme where it's like the plane dropping bombs, and that's the Republicans, and then the plane dropping bombs with the pride flags on it. And that's the
right. And it's basically like, you're not so different from each other. And so that's and that's where I've always heard that two sides of the same coin description before. And so when they're saying the gods and the titans, are they both this like big machine that's running the world and really is one that much worse than the other? Like, that was what I thought they were saying. And like Poseidon or Kronos, either one in power, like they kind of are flippant with mortal lives. Like, that's what I thought they were saying. I like your interpretation of it better, that Percy is kind of like flipping a coin with the prophecy, right? Like, in which way will it land with the Olympians or with the Titans? I like that as an explanation more, but my first thought was not that.
I think it's a valid thought. I also think it kind of works out where the story goes, where basically, they pick the Olympians begrudgingly, and then they have to start yelling at them once they're in office. And that's basically how we have to do Democrats. Very excited about Zoran. I'm also very excited to yell at him if he doesn't do what we want him to do.
We said something on the election day in New York. We were like, oh, great. This is our last day to unequivocally just like be excited about him.
Right.
Now we have to like
hold him accountable.
Do what you said you were going to do before the people don't turn into a career politician.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't become Chuck Schumer. Please don't. Please don't. Anyway, enough politic talk. Let's talk about Percy Jackson. So then we get the first instance of Tyson doing the Cyclops mimicking, because Sally,
it's so cute.
It's really fun. It's really so cute and really, really fun. It's something I would love to ask Daniel about more. I didn't ask it in the press junket stuff because I want a long answer. Like, I want to have a full conversation about like, how do you do this? When do you record it? Do you have to like practice with it so that you hit it? Like, I think warrants a very deep back and forth, and I only got 5 minutes in each of the group junkets.
So I think that Daniel, the actor who plays Tyson, has incredible comedic timing.
He's a very talented actor.
So funny. This bit with the, like, whenever he mimics a voice is so funny. The other thing that I really love that he did when they're in the, when they get into the cab and they're like, we don't have fare for that one. And he kind of like startles and like looks at I laugh just thinking about it now. I think that he has amazing comedic timing, and he's been in a lot of things that I haven't seen. I'm now, like, I think I've got to go watch these things.
Daniel Diemer is a proper actor, like capital A actor. He's really good. For context, he's like 29. He, I think, looks younger, but he's, like a proper actor. Like, this is his career. Like, he's good at it, and I think he does a lot of good things with Tyson, where he's doing such a good job of making Tyson be young without doing the audiobook narrator like, hi, it's me, Tyson. Like,
without being Patrick from Patrick Star.
Yeah, it's so nice. He does little things just with like the way he talks, the way he doesn't make eye contact. The way he walks, like little things are just like, he makes Tyson feel like a kid without feeling like a caricature of a kid.
Yeah.
And we talked about this at the premiere, and I could tell Daniel had this little smile of like, hey, people are noticing my craft.
Yeah, it's good.
He's really talented.
Speaking of seeing him at the premiere, it was jarring to see him with two eyes.
Yeah, your first introduction is one-eyed Daniel.
Yeah.
I was the reverse, I met him at set.
Yeah. And I asked him a question which you also knew the answer to, so you both answered it for me, which was, is the eye his eye?
Yeah, right, yes.
Or is it an animated eye? Are they recording one or both of his eyes and then using it? So you can explain the answer.
At set, there was a part where they brought us into kind of like the boardroom where they have meetings with Disney, and they were showing us like some sizzle reel stuff and talking about some other things. And one of the things that they were talking to us about was the technology behind the eye. And it was this technology that I believe they developed for this, where they would film Daniel doing all the scenes, no sort of like green screen stuff on his face, but they would take the facial expressions that he's making with his eyes and with his eyebrows, and then basically utilize software to combine the two eyes into one eye and the two eyebrows into one eyebrow. So it makes it actually like look correct. So everything that he's doing while he's acting gets captured. They don't have to guess what he was doing, if he was furrowing his brow, when he blinked, and all that kind of stuff. It's actually from what he was doing in the performance put in. And I think it looks good. I think that there are certain scenes where it looks better than others. And we talked about this with Daniel at the premiere, where I think the lighting of the scene can make it look really good in others. And there's future episodes to come where I think it looks really good. But I think like in general, like it looks as believable as a Cyclops eye could.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I liked it.
What's the point in filming both eyes and doing this combo technology rather than just filming one eye and then blowing that eye up to be a big eye?
I think the fact that like you don't always do things completely symmetric, you know, you'll do things off center. And I think that, you know, you squint in a certain way, or you know, kind of like furrow your brow not evenly across. And I think that it's trying to just capture the full range of motion of what he was doing and put it together. So.
Well, he was a very nice guy. Lovely to meet. Weird that he had two eyes. He had a super fresh outfit. He was in all black with a golden trident pendant.
He's been rocking that since he was cast. It's really cool.
Yeah?
Nice, he wears that a lot. It's really sweet. And I get it. I always wear themed accessories. So like, if I had that, I would wear that to all of my Percy Jackson things.
Nobody noticed.
Your seashell thing?
I had a little barrette that I took like seashells that I have found, and I kind of glued them to it and then had that in my hair. It's not in any pictures and nobody noticed it, but I knew it was there.
And I wore a gold velvet dinner jacket, which is kind of like a tuxedo blazer. And it was the color of the book cover, the original book cover. And some people did notice that. Other people were just like, nice coat.
Yeah, and I wore purple because it was the dress that I had.
And it contrasted well, and you could say we were going full Kronos with the purple, black, and gold look.
Yeah.
And the Monster Donut folks would be very delighted for us to say that.
I like somebody who said it was giving Meg from Hercules vibes, because that really kind of is also on theme. So I like that. That's what I'm going with.
So Tyson does the mimicking of Sally, and the prompt from Sally is, what do I always say? Being a real hero means standing up for others. And then a really great thing from Sally where she looks back at Percy and goes, listen to your mother. Very funny, very funny. So then we get a scene of quote unquote New York City, aka very obviously Vancouver. This is probably the only time where I'm going to be this negative about the TV show. The sidewalks are too wide. The light poles are wrong. The trees are too big. The buildings are wrong. That is not the street where the Empire State Building is. Like,
the sky is just like blown out in brightness, I think, to try to cover the fact that it's not
New York.
Real.
Yeah.
As somebody who just landed from New York and they pull open New York, you're like,
it's not New York. That's the Empire State Building. That is not New York.
Maybe this is alternate universe New York, though. This is the, you know, wave your magic wand. It's just magic. That's the explanation. This is the alternate universe New York.
So the other way that we really know it's New York is that Tyson is wearing a Mets hat as a disguise. Now, I do like the Mets hat, and I knew about the Mets hat because when we were looking at the costume department on set, they had a mood board thing, and they were picking out which type of Mets hat Tyson would wear. And when I saw that immediately, I was like, oh, maybe this is a way for Tyson and Annabeth to have tension because she's a Yankees fan and he's a Mets fan, and this is a way for them to butt heads without there being a whole weird Cyclops racism angle to it. It doesn't seem like from this episode that's how they're going. I think they're just giving him another New York thing, and it is kind of funny that Annabeth has a Yankees hat that makes her actually disappear, and Tyson has a Mets hat that he thinks will make him disappear. Percy tells me he doesn't have to. And true to the Yankees-Mets dynamic, the Yankees one works and the Mets one doesn't. So I really, I like it. We'll see how it goes. But I think that what they've done for like the Annabeth tension with Percy and Tyson is very good. Like it's a really cool change.
It's not to bring up that movie, but that movie was awkward and uncomfortable in the way they treated it.
And the book was too. Like when I read the book, I'm sure there's episodes of TONO where I was like, Annabeth, cool it, man. Like this is weird.
They did a very good job with writing it. Leah did a very good job with acting it.
She's doing great.
She did a really good job with being uncomfortable, but not rude. And like, I thought it was very, very well done.
Yeah, they've done a good thing. This is, again, getting to, if they make the change, what's the core? The core is Annabeth has some sort of tension with Percy and Tyson going on this quest. So the tension is there. How do we get to the tension is a little bit different, but the core thing of the vibes are slightly off is intact, and they've done it in a way that doesn't make things gross, and it doesn't make Annabeth look bad, and I think it's good.
Yeah.
So Percy is talking with Tyson down the street, and he's being great already. Like, I think they've already nailed the Percy wants to be nice to Tyson, but is also annoyed by him, but feels bad when he's annoyed by him. So he's quick to apologize. He's conflicted. And the instance here is that he calls Tyson a monster and then immediately apologizes, saying that wasn't very nice. And Tyson, being the beautiful, joyful, pure Tyson that he is, says, no, that's okay. You have monster friends, like your best friend, Goater. Which is so got another great little naive thing.
I actually really loved this conversation because he calls him a monster and then immediately says, oh, sorry. Tyson says, no, it's okay. Percy says, no, I called you a monster and that wasn't nice. I thought that was really cool. Normalize holding yourself accountable to making mistakes. And also, I'm that person who would be the one that says, no, it's okay, even if it's not okay. And so I think it's really cool of Percy to be like, no, it wasn't okay. And here's why it wasn't okay. And you don't need to be nice about it.
That's my Percy Jackson.
I liked that little.
I loved
that
it.
little back and forth.
Absolutely loved it. Another thing I loved is the way they do the Grey Sisters cab. So the cab comes in, and we've read the book, or at least some of us have. In the book, it melts up through the sidewalk. That's going to be a tough CGI thing to film and look good. So instead, it just poofs through real smoke, like real special effect smoke. And again, like you don't need it to melt through. It looks great. And they really have done so much with trying to do practical effects and practical sets. The volume stage was not used this season. They were very, they were very intentional about making physical sets. And that was something they talked to me about on set.
What about when they get to the water? Don't spoil anything you can't spoil, but I'm thinking, how do you build that?
The volume stage was not utilized this season.
Wow.
So,
that's incredible. I'm excited to see.
Mm-hmm. So what they basically said on set was, with the volume, you have to do so much work in terms of post-filming that it doesn't actually save you a lot of time. So if you put the effort into pre-production and you build out the sets and you get all the props and stuff, it's just shifting that work earlier. So that was kind of just the shift in it. And I think it looks great. Like it's also... You'll see it in this episode and you'll see it in future ones where, you kind of just watch a whole scene. You might not notice it at first, but then by the end you go, wow, that scene looked great. Oh yeah, because everything was real. Just everything felt right. It's not like Marvel where it's just every now and then you get this CGI slop session and you're like, what have I even been looking at? I guess that's supposed to be a person, but that was not. So
sometimes the Marvel ones are good, sometimes not so much. It's like Lord of the Rings, where they built all the miniatures so like all the flyovers are real flyovers of like miniature models of Minas Tirith and stuff. It's very cool to have real things.
I've told this before, but the most clear thing was when we were at your house for the holidays and they were doing a Lord of the Rings marathon and they played Return of the King and then they played the first Hobbit movie, and the first Hobbit movie looked way worse because it was way more CGI heavy. So Grey Sisters cab comes and then the door flings open, but the door flings open by seemingly invisible person because Annabeth takes off her hat and here she is. We get a great thing where Daniel as Tyson
applauds when a new person
that is fun.
It's a very cool thing.
It's also very fun when one of the less major people comes, the slight clap of like, do we clap for the Grey Sisters? There was like very tiny applause for the Grey Sisters.
I was the only one clapping when Blackjack came on the screen.
We'll get there. So there's this cute thing where Tyson picks up Percy to keep him safe. Annabeth is all worried about him. And then once that's cleared, Tyson goes, oh, you're Annabeth. Percy talks about you all the time, which is really fun. The awkward thing where he reveals that he looks at her picture all the time. So they get in the cab and Annabeth reveals to Percy that she tried to iris message Chiron, but some dude she didn't recognize was on the other end of the call, and she made a full police sketch of Tantalus, which is pretty fun. Good art chops from Annabeth. And we get just a lovely Grey Sisters interaction. Like, they've hit the vibe so well. Really solid performances from all three. The switching of the eye stuff is good. Tyson asks they have one eye, and they go, look who's talking, which is great.
So funny.
There's the whole back and forth of, is this your boyfriend? I never said boyfriend. Then Annabeth doubles down, I never said boyfriend. And Percy goes, I believe you, which is so good. And then Tyson at one point murmurs, shouldn't the driver have the eye? Which is hilarious. Another thing that is interesting that they reveal is that Annabeth seemingly is also having dreams about Luke, because they say, oh, is this your other boyfriend from the dreams, the tall one? Yeah, so
dreaming of Luke.
Now, I don't think, given how this show has been handling it, I don't think that they're going to get the weird Annabeth Luke love thing. So it could just be the Grey Sisters doing the classic mom thing of any boy that a girl talks to is their boyfriend, right?
You don't think we're going to have a love thing?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Because in season 1, they kept doing the whole like a sister, like a brother, like family. And I just think that it hasn't been brought up, even in this episode when we get into the things where she is upset with Luke, they keep bringing up Thalia was like a sister to him. We were like a family. How could he do this? At no point did it feel any sort of romantic. So I think they're not doing that, which I personally love.
I'm intrigued by that. It'll be hard to change the mindset, I think. But I agree with you that I think it's a good decision if that's what they do. Yeah,
it could at least be the One Direction thing. The whole Luke asking Annabeth at the end is what made it gross. But like the age difference is big enough where it could be a camper having a crush on a camp counselor kind of thing. When I did tennis camp, there were some girls that I was like, wow, this girl's so cute. And she was like 9 years older than me. What am I going to do? I was 9. She was a freshman in college.
How dare you?
So
you weren't sitting in a room staring at a wall waiting for me your whole life.
Just been incubating, waiting for my Kelly to break me out. So anyway, Percy Jackson. Annabeth immediately begins to yes and Percy's plan to toss the eye out the window, just like they do in the books, which is fantastic. They reveal the coordinates, and then there's the confusion of what does that mean. Then they drop off the 3 of them at the road outside of Camp Half-Blood, which is the actual road outside of the set, which I thought was fun. And I was, of course, annoying about being like, this is the real road. So there is tension between Percy and Annabeth, which is good. There's this whole conversation about them sending each other letters, but leaving out some information. Percy leaving out info about Tyson, Annabeth leaving out information that Percy isn't aware of. He wants to know how she liked all doing the mortal stuff. She seems to be a bit hesitant, and their conversation is interrupted by fireballs raining from the sky. So we know as readers that means it's the Laestrygonians, and they are running away. This is basically replacing dodgeball, which dodgeball scene is fun. I get why they didn't do it, because if you do the dodgeball scene, you have to do so much more. You have to do way more stuff at Merryweather. You have to have the dodgeball thing. You have to introduce the Laestrygonians. They have to break a hole in the wall. You have to get out, call the Grey Sisters. Like, I totally get why they didn't do it.
Definitely.
So they're running, they're falling over in the woods and stuff, and then Tyson takes a bullet for Percy, but because he is a Cyclops, it is okay. He can take this fireball to the chest. Annabeth does a great thing of they're kind of in shock that Tyson's okay, and she gives this, Cyclops are immune to fire, let's go, he'll be fine. That was like such an Annabeth thing, such an Annabeth thing. Like, you guys don't all know the information? I thought this was obvious. Classic Annabeth.
As they're running away, she falls, and it's so seamless that I really want to know if it's scripted or not. Like, she falls and is up within a half a second, and I'm like, is that real? Did she really fall and like keep scrambling, or was it like, I'm gonna fall on this step? I want to know the answer to that one.
So I wrote in my notes at this point when I was watching it for the first time, if there's no Colchis Bulls, this is genius, because you're basically getting the vibes of the Laestrygonian fight and the Colchis Bull thing all at once. And I think that it was done really well. So they continue to run through, and then we see the first instance of Thalia's tree force field keeping people at bay, because Annabeth and Percy go through, they're fine, but then Tyson gets all zapped. And this was something that they had brought up. He's not going to be able to come to camp. So then Annabeth has to give Tyson permission to enter camp, which is a new thing, not really in the book, but she kind of pokes her dagger to get the lightning to spark, and she says that she gives Tyson permission. And he does come in, but a Laestrygonian follows him in, kicks him, and then the Laestrygonian is about to hit Percy and / or Annabeth, but then a spear gets him, and of course, that spear comes from Clarice. Oh, we get the Clarice introduction.
Everybody, whole theater claps. So this raised 2 questions for me that I hadn't thought of. One of them's a book question. One of them's a series question. So Annabeth gives him permission to enter camp. Can anybody give permission to enter camp? If that's the case, why isn't Selena Beauregard just like, yeah, I'll let the monsters in, Luke? Or like anybody else who turns would be able to just basically lead an invasion into camp? Or is it only select people have this power?
I don't know. We'll have to see. But I feel like that implication there was to explain Luke getting in to camp. I think someone let Luke in.
Well, Luke would be able to come in. He's not a monster. Is that monsters
Or
can't
did
come
they
in?
make him a monster once he became a friend of Kronos? Like, did his access card, was he revoked access, and did, one of his spies let Luke in?
Access card. I think that it's like a more simple system than that. That is like, this is monster, this is human, this is demigod, and humans and monsters can't come in, and demigods can.
Yeah, I think it's still just trying to show that people can let people into camp. This just felt like it's going to come back. It's going to be used again, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the season, maybe it's season 4. But like, I think that there's going to be instance of that's how some of the people get into camp is someone evil has done it. Because, you know, maybe that's how they do spies in season 4, right? Like, I just feel like there's going to be something.
Maybe. And then my other question was a question about the universe. The tree is only, what, like 5-6 years old, something like that? Mm-hmm. So before Thalia's tree, was there anything protecting the camp?
I feel like the book had something about there was some protection, just not as strong. And then they just have the, you know, roaming like security guard thing. But I think that the tree was like a much stronger force field.
I mean, that's quite the sacrifice then for her to protect the camp that way.
Yeah, it's good stuff from Thalia. So Spear from Clarice defeats that Laestrygonian. The other two start running away, and she calls for the other people on Border Patrol to fire arrows at them. They're out of here. And we get a great line because first Clarice comes up, and it looks like she's going to say some sort of like sassy quip or something. She doesn't. She just walks off, which was fun. I was really anticipating her saying something. And then she just kind of walks up and tells the others to buzz off, gives Percy a shut up, Jackson. And Percy goes, "Oh, you fixed your spear. Great.
So
great.
Funny.
So funny. So funny."
She just says, "Don't."
So Percy then helps Tyson up, welcomes him to camp, says, quote, "Usually there's more s'mores and less ground assaults," which is pretty fun. And now we're in camp. Before we continue, let's take our mid-roll break. We're back to the sea of sponsors. Hello, sea of sponsors. Back for our mid-roll break. We'll talk a little bit about updates of the podcast and stuff, and then we will conclude talking about episode 1. Hello and welcome to the Sea of Sponsors. We are back in the Sea of Sponsors. If you're a first-time listener of the Newest Olympian, this is the segment in the middle of the episode. It's always named based on whatever book or part of the Riordanverse we are covering, usually with some sort of fun pun, where we'll talk about updates with the podcast, things that you can get access to by joining the Patreon, and then at the end, we'll take a little break for some advertisements. We're going to keep this one brief because we already had an episode of TNO come out on Monday, and there's another episode coming out today. The main big things is we've got those Australian tour dates set and secured in January, and you can get tickets at newestolympian.com/live. I'm in the process of securing the New Zealand dates, which are at the very end of January and the beginning of February. And then I'm going to talk about this in more detail on the Patreon director's commentary for this episode, but I'm looking into show dates in the US for the spring of next year, starting in March. And the cities that are currently looking good for that are Washington, D.C., Berkeley, Denver, Atlanta, Charlotte, and Raleigh. That will be mostly in April. And then I'm trying to add some other shows as well, but that's more up in the air for early April. So I'll talk about that at length on the director's commentary. Go check that out over on the Patreon. Now, speaking of the Patreon, there is a patron-only segment of these TV show episodes that we're going to do for every single one. I recorded one with Kelly. It's a segment called the Patron 5, where I have 5 questions about overall thoughts of the episode, things like your favorite performance, the funniest line, the thing that changed from the book to the show that you liked the most. And it's just a fun little segment where I get to talk about things less on a beat-by-beat plot thing with the guest and more of an overarching, okay, you've seen the whole episode, what are your thoughts? So that's going to be up for any level of TNO patron on the TNO Patreon, which you can get access to at newestolympian.com/Patreon. Also, in this episode, I mentioned interviews and junkets and stuff. I've been posting a whole bunch of reels on Instagram and YouTube Shorts as well, and I might even have to create a new Newest Olympian TikTok because we've been locked out of the original one. But I have an intern, Jackson, who's been helping me make a whole bunch of reels because we've got a whole bunch of video content. So if you want to check those out, follow us. We're at Newest Olympian on Instagram, and you can go to youtube.com/@newestolympian on YouTube. That is where those will be. The full interviews will all be up in widescreen format on YouTube once episode 4 is complete, because I think in every other interview, I talk about things that go up to episode 4. The Rick one, we didn't talk about any future episode things. So the Uncle Rick one is already up. You can watch that one right now in its full entirety on the TNO YouTube channel. The other ones will be coming later. And when season 2 is complete, I will probably put up some voice memos on the Patreon that I recorded when I was on set in Vancouver. I don't think I'm able to post those yet because I feel like I probably talked so much about things that were there that I may have talked about things in way future episodes. So it might just be safer for me to wait and post it at the end. But basically, I made voice memos on my phone of just the entire day each of the 2 days that I was there so that I wouldn't forget everything that we did. And I will listen to those and make sure it's listenable and put those up. But all this is to say, there will be some sort of, hey, here's the full thing that I did on set content somewhere, probably on Patreon, because I think I'll do enough interspersing in the episodes on these episodes here. But if you want a full-fledged, what was it like to be on set, Mike? Content, that'll be up on the Patreon. I think that's all I got for now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to this mid-roll break. If you are new, thank you so much for joining. I hope you've enjoyed. If you want to listen to all the old episodes of TNO, you can. We've done one for each of the first 5 books, and we've completed our coverage up through the Mark of Athena. We'll be doing the House of Hades after this. You can bounce around. You can start from the beginning, do whatever you want, but I'm happy that you're here. I hope you enjoy the TV show episodes that I will be posting and the interview bonus episodes that I will be posting on Mondays. Lots of fun stuff to come here. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss any updates that we post, because I'm not exactly sure what interviews are to come. I'm going to try to work with the Disney team to see who else I can talk with in addition to the people I've already spoken to. So a lot of fun stuff already recorded and hopefully new fun things to come your way. But now we're going to take that little bit of a break for some ads. If you're listening on Patreon, this will be a completely ad-free experience. But if you're listening outside of Patreon, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors who make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me. We've got some sponsorships going through December that are really fun, such as Aura Frames and Quince and Small's Cat Food. But some of the other ads won't be read by me. Those are inserted locally. So if you live in Peru, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in Spanish. Once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of The Newest Olympian. And we're back. So Annabeth talks with Percy. She's trying to, of course, figure out what the plan is here. With her and Percy talking it out, they realize this could have been a distraction. So they run in, they go to Thalia's tree, and we see Luke just stabbing the tree, rips it out. He makes eye contact with at least Annabeth, probably Annabeth and Percy. And he has this little moment of guilt on his face. Like he looks slightly ashamed. And I thought it was, so? There's a little bit where he kind of looks down. And I think that was intentional. Maybe I'll ask Charlie if I get him on the podcast for an interview. But I feel like that was an intentional little thing to put in there. And there's some really important Luke things to note here. First off, he does have double popped collars on, incredible tracksuit. This, when we went to set, was like the second or third costume that we saw. It was on a mannequin, and we were all just like, oh my God, like it was so cool. We were like, when is that? Is that, final boss fight Luke outfit? It just looks so cool. There was this little like concept drawing, and of course they had the concept drawing be Charlie wearing it, which is cool. And I was like, I wonder if Charlie gets to take that home, because it's basically like fan art of him. So that was cool to see. The double pop collar is so on brand. And then the other thing that's great is that he's a top Blackjack. Oh, delightful to see Blackjack. Trans Icon Blackjack. Confirmed from Uncle Rick that he loves Trans Icon Blackjack. You may have heard this in the bonus episode that I posted, but one thing that you did not hear is the audio from before they started rolling. I sat down in my interview with Rick, and they say, oh, this is Mike from The Newest Olympian. And he goes, The Newest Olympian, you run the podcast that just released those Trans Icon Blackjack t-shirts, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I absolutely love that. I think it's so good. And I was like, oh, you're not like upset that we kind of poke fun at the mistake? And he's like, no, I love that the fandom has rolled with it. I think it is great. I love Trans Icon Blackjack. And I was like, I'm so glad that like you're such a good sport about it. Yeah. So that opened the door for me to ask the Trans Icon Blackjack question that I did, but it was just so disarming of my nerves, because I was quite nervous. And it was really nice. Just immediately he was like, oh, hey, I've seen your shirt. That's really cool. Yeah. And then I was like, are you feeling better? And then I asked that first question, and he goes, I've never gotten that before, and that's really hard to do. And I was like, cool, I'm not nervous anymore. Let's talk to Uncle Rick. So that was great. He's a pro. He does a very good job of making you not feel scared. I'm sure he gets interviewed by a lot of people who are super intimidated, and he made me feel very welcome.
Well, he's a teacher at heart, right? Like that's what teachers do. Teachers are making you feel comfortable in a space where a lot of students aren't comfortable.
Yeah. So Luke, after stabbing, is on top of Blackjack, and Percy trash talk is here, baby. He goes, you're running again, which is good. Oh, my New Yorker Percy Jackson. Something that I would love to ask about, I don't know who I ask, I guess the VFX department, is how they decide to do the Pegasus flying physics. Yeah. Because it's like, it's kind of galloping in the sky, but that doesn't really seem to do anything for the wings, but it just feels like that is like how it should fly. I don't know.
And it's very, like the back legs like definitely sag down a lot more than than like in like a cartoon version of a pegasus.
Right, which I think would make more sense.
Yeah.
Like the physics behind it, like did they consult with horse people?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm intrigued.
Did they take a horse, attach it to a harness, fly it around
What would
town?
you do? They just interviewed a horse. How would you fly? So Annabeth tries to figure out what's going on. She does touch the goop seeping out of the tree with her pinky and then licks it. And she says elder python venom. Does she need antidote now? Like, is she okay? Is there a certain amount you can be all right with? I was like, Annabeth, are you good, girl? Then Tyson is a very good stand-in for the audience member who doesn't know what's happening, which I think he was in the book as well. But he goes, the tree is a girl, which is good. They're doing a better job, I think, this season of the exposition dumps not feeling too exposition dumpy. Mm-hmm. Everything feels natural. Tyson getting explained stuff always kind of feels like how it would be if Tyson was actually asking those questions. So there's a little bit back and forth of Annabeth saying, I don't know how Luke could do this. And Percy goes, because he's not Luke anymore. He's lost, which I think is great. He says he serves Kronos now. That's all he's about.
I felt like that was a slightly jealous energy.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Well, you're saying that there's no love story there between Annabeth and Luke, but
Percy's still jealous.
Percy perceives it as such.
He's definitely still jealous. He was jealous with the boyfriend thing. Like, he probably knew they were talking about Luke. He's still jealous. That is irrelevant of if Luke has a crush on Annabeth or not. That's going to be there no matter what. So then we get our first sighting of someone I'm so excited to see throughout the season, Timothy Simons as Tantalus. He is such a funny actor. I did not get to talk to him at the premiere because I was intimidated to talk to him, and he's very tall, and he had multiple friends that he was there with, and they were all really cool and all dressed really cool, and I chickened out talking to him because I always felt awkward, and then he left the party relatively early. But he is such a funny actor and a great comedian and absolutely rocks it as Tantalus. Absolutely rocks it. So he asks what's going on. Clarice gives him this update that, the camp is standing strong. And he goes, so waking me up was not necessary.
So funny.
Audience got a good laugh out of that one at the premiere. Percy blames Luke for this in response to a question that kind of seemed like it was aiming at, is this Percy's fault? Is this Tyson's fault? But he blames Luke, which I love. And Tantalus has this little satyr henchman following him around, like, oh, Tantalus, my lord. Which is great. I don't remember if that was in the book. It felt like, even if it wasn't in, it feels like a thing that would be there, like Tantalus having a little guy. So I think it fits the vibe, even if it's not a book thing. And when Percy speaks up blaming Luke, Tantalus says, I've heard about you. And Percy has not. He goes to Tantalus, and you are? And then Tantalus looks visibly disappointed that Percy doesn't know who he is, which is great.
So funny.
And then he starts to say who he is. And Percy goes, oh, you're the guy who can't touch food no matter what. And he goes, yes, thank you for recalling my curse. I had momentarily forgotten. And then Timothy does this great thing that he keeps doing as Tantalus, where he does these little hand motion wave things where it's very nonchalant in a good show of power, and says to Clarice to kill Tyson. But then Percy stands up for him, and while he's standing up for him, people get all amazed and they're all in awe and they're all looking up, and it's because Tyson has been claimed by Poseidon. We are 25 minutes into this episode and there's already just so many things happening. I love the pacing. We're wasting no time. They're absolutely moving. Then we cut to Jason Mantzoukas laughing his butt off in his jean shorts and his wonderful shirt. And it goes on for such a long time. And it's so funny. Oh, he is killing it. He is killing it. So then Mr. D and Tantalus are explaining to Percy about what the dynamic is here, how Tantalus is taking over for Chiron, and Mr. D explains that Zeus kicked out Chiron because his dad is Kronos. And I wasn't sure if this was a thing where it was new information to Percy, or if it was Percy not thinking it was fair because Zeus is also a son of Kronos. But he does say, Zeus is also a son of Kronos. Why doesn't he just boot himself? And then Annabeth has to stop him short. Again, that's like classic Percy trash talk, and classic Annabeth stopping Percy from, putting his foot in his mouth.
Getting zooped by a god. Yeah.
Exactly. And then a great Mr. Dean line where he goes, look, Peter. And says, you did a whole big hotshot saving the world thing last year, blah, 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 blah. So then we get the introduction about the chariot races as this thing to, boost morale at the camp. The model that they use there is something that I saw when I was on set. I think they used it as actually a model to plan things out, and then they used it as a set piece in the show. Really funny moment where Mr. D is eating popcorn in Tantalus's face, and he looks at it longingly. comedy's back this season.
Yes.
Like the jokes are back. It feels
Yes.
much more like a Percy Jackson book. That was my biggest gripe with season 1. And I feel like jokes have re-entered the room, and I'm really excited about it.
Season 1, I think, was that way because book 1 is that way. The book 1 reads a lot like The Hobbit, where every chapter is an adventure. It reads like a bedtime story, so you can read one chapter to your kid, and then they go to sleep, and that closes the story.
Literally how the book was formed.
Exactly. And the series then is every episode of season 1 was we meet this monster and then it's closed. We meet this monster and then it's closed. And so every episode felt like its own little piece rather than the way that they're booking through this. It feels a lot like they're carrying a thread, and it gives them more time for things like jokes and character building, because it wasn't like this was a mini story. It was adding and combining a whole lot of things together throughout the episode that are many chapters in the book. And I think that leads itself to more fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. It feels like the vibe is correct. The comedic vibe is there. And I think you're right. They're saving time with things. We don't get a whole giant explanation of the Lystrogonians and, Joe Bob and the tattoos and blah, blah, blah. It's just, oh, they're giants. Okay, cool. They're from the north. All right, sweet. They throw fireballs. Things that I just also wrote in my notes. Tantalus's outfit, so good. Tantalus's makeup, so good. Tantalus's hair, so good. The fact that Timothy Simons is really tall, so good. So in response to learning that these chariot races are supposed to happen, Percy and Annabeth think it's ridiculous. They need a quest to save the tree. Tantalus then calls in some guards and puts Percy under cabin confinement. Percy asks Mr. D if he's okay with this, and he says, I also find your tone a little harsh. And it's a good way, this next scene, which is Percy walking through Camp Half-Blood to his cabin, a good way to get the embarrassment factor in, where, we have to make it to where Percy is not the hero of camp. And you get some good things. I would recommend everyone watch the show with headphones on, because you get a good couple of things where people are like, oh, is that Percy? Yeah. Like, there's some really good extras being like, yeah, off into the side that are like barely picked up by the microphones.
Clarice puts her hand on her forehead in the shape of one eye, like making fun of the Cyclops bit of
Does she actually? I completely missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought you were just making like an all-star Smash Mouth joke. No, she really does it.
Puts a circle on her forehead.
That's so
like a Cyclops
good.
Symbol kind of thing.
Okay, remind me if I get to interview Diemer to ask her that, because that would be fun to ask if she came up with that on her own or if she was told to do it. But yeah, they get the embarrassment factor in properly, and Percy's in the cabin with Tyson, and we immediately get the thing where Percy is jealous of Tyson being claimed so quickly, and I think that's true to book form as well. And Tyson's really pure. He is saying things to Percy like, we're friends, we're best friends, we're bros, and Percy goes, we're not bros, it's just like exactly like in the Sea of Monsters book. It was really, really good. Percy's being open with his emotions. He's apologizing for, being upset with Tyson, and says that this is all just a lot for him, and he thinks it's probably a lot for Tyson as well. He's just not sure what it all means. And Tyson says, it means I'm not alone, which is great.
So sweet.
Other thing that's great, the door to the Poseidon cabin has seahorse-shaped handles.
So cool.
I've held those handles. They're great. Now, Annabeth comes up and asks Percy if he would like to go on a walk so they can talk a little bit. And Percy is being a very good brother to Tyson and says, oh, we were in the middle of talking. Do you want to come in and join? Annabeth doesn't want to. I like this because there's clearly tension here. And I don't know as a viewer, is this because of her and Percy? Is this because what I do know as a reader, that she has an issue with Cyclopes? I don't know. Whatever it is, there is tension. So the outcome is there. But I like that Percy doesn't want to just ditch Tyson, but Annabeth doesn't want to go in. Then the tension increases because they start calling each other out about the drachma usage. So Annabeth says, how did you use a drachma in the cab? You, when you wrote to me, said you didn't have any drachmas. That's why you couldn't IM me. And Percy has an alibi. Sally gave me it this morning. I didn't know she even had one. Then he says, well, you said you were out of drachmas, but then you used another drachma to pay for my cab fare. And then you used a drachma for yourself. So how did you not have one?
Yeah.
And she doesn't answer. She just kind of not answers and says, well, I'm trying to connect now. And she ends up leaving, and they aren't going to talk. So the tension's here, but it's the tension that I think is like justified. It's not like miscommunication tension, which is my least favorite. So I buy it. So inside Cabin 3, Tyson tells Percy that he should sleep. He says that on the streets you can't because the monsters will know. And then we get a little bit of Sphinx backstory because earlier in this episode, Tyson revealed that he knew his mom was a naiad, but he didn't know about his dad. And then that's what Percy was frustrated, saying, oh, wait, you said you didn't know your parents. How's your dad Poseidon? Blah, blah, blah. And then Tyson reveals to Percy that the Sphinx told him and calls the Sphinx a bully, used to bother him on 77th Street, said that his mom was a naiad and his dad was one of the gods. So that's all he knew. Tyson thought it was a trick, but again, he tells Percy you should go to sleep, says sleep is good. It means you're safe. And I think we'll get good sleep here. And I don't know, man, given the way this series works, I don't know. So then we have a scene of Annabeth in the tree, and great acting from Lee here. She's just really sad. You can see it in her eyes. You can see it in her facial expression. She's all dejected about what has happened to Thalia. She's committing to fixing what's going on. She just needs to know how. And then we go back to the dream, and we have Grover getting dropped off at the cave. They do this fun visual thing where they make the opening of the cave look like an eye first before they turn and rotate it, which is very cool. And I was here on set for the filming of this scene. I'm not going to get to be able to say that about every scene. So the ones that I was there for filming, I got to brag about. And I was here for the Grover half of it. So the part where Grover is kind of talking into the mirror. I was there for that scene, and it was fascinating. It was fascinating to see just how many takes it takes, how many steps goes into each take, where you have to make sure that the lighting is right, the sound is right, the smoke machine has done enough smoke, that people are being quiet on set, that the actors are ready, that the director's ready, that the cameras are rolling. Like, there's so much that goes into every take, and then they do so many takes. The acting coach is there in between takes, helping Arian make sure he's delivering the lines well. There's a stand-in instead of Percy there, because you don't need Walker to be there just to stand, so you just have a kid with curly-ish blonde hair standing to be the stand-in. It was really cool. They did this so many times, but it was fun to see this. So I was there for two separate portions of them filming this dream scene that happened across 2 days. One where it was just the Grover part, and then later when it is the Grover and Percy together thing, when the dream is falling apart. And when they do the shakes, the director will be like, a big shake. And then they go, it's like, another, it's really funny. So,
that was very funny.
In this dream scene, we learn that they have a combined dream going on due to an empathy link, and the empathy link works differently in the show, which I love. And I talked to staff writer Daphne Olive about this when we were at set. She was really happy about this change. The empathy link forms naturally just between a demigod and a Grover between a demigod and a satyr who are best friends. And I like this because you don't have to deal with the weird consent angle of Grover doing this thing without Percy's permission. I think it's so smart, and I think it's a thing that gives us all like the same kind of emotion. And you try to get that in the book where at the end Percy has the ability to undo it, but he doesn't do it. Now instead we can just get, they're such good bros that they have a link, and that's fine. And I really like it.
Yeah, we don't have to sing the consenting song.
Ha! Nice. No means no. And yes, you got to make sure. So the empathy link being natural, fantastic. Then you get a fun little jump scare where Percy and Grover are now in the same place. It's not just through the mirror. And Grover just has this perfect vibe of being just the right level of mythological nerdy and like talking too fast to where Percy doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to figure it out, piece it all together. And Percy is being just slow enough where it's believable that he doesn't know what's going on, but not like the sea of what? It's the right level of Grover's being a little too anxious to get a million words out, and Percy needs him to go just a little bit slower. So they show him the golden fleece, which is really cool. And then the dream is falling apart. And then Grover is able to blurt out the coordinates and the zoom in on his face of saying the coordinates, and then the dream ends. Percy falls out of bed again. I hope this just becomes a recurring thing across the whole series.
It's so funny.
Let him do it out of every single dream. Please be a bit. So Percy figures out the numbers right away, which is interesting, not how it's necessarily done in the book. There's a map on the wall, and there's a little thing that says Sea of Monsters. This to me feels like we got to make episode 1 end on like a really cool, big, triumphant note. By nature of it being a television show, we got to appeal to people who might not have seen the first season or were on the fence about watching the season. So I think this change is one of those, okay, yeah, TV show, I get it. Because now they do that. They cut back to Annabeth with her lantern, and then Percy gets to dramatically walk into this light and say, I know how to save camp. Yes. And then the episode ends. We get the credits. The credits rip. They are as beautiful, if not more beautiful than season 1. And you get to play the fun game of, oh, okay, that's Rainbow the Hippocampus. Oh, that's probably Cersei's Island. Oh, what are those 3 or 4 big heads in the water, huh? Like, you get to do, oh, there's Scylla, there's Charybdis. So credits are great. Absolutely love it. You get the next time on, but we don't need to do that because episode 2 of this podcast will be coming out today as well. Going to be discussing episode 2 with Johnny, and we'll be releasing both of these on the same day. But before we even get into that, we got to close out this episode. Kelly, thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome.
Any final thoughts or anything to promote before we let people on their way to immediately start listening to the second episode that has been released today of The Newest Olympian?
You can find me on Etsy if you like BTS, or if you just like pretty things that may or may not be a reference to a BTS song. You can find me at Magic Shop Patches on Etsy, or you can find me on various episodes of The Newest Olympian.
It's a really good show. It's a really good show. But yeah, you have a new roller skate sticker inspired by Dynamite, and then a Spring Day sticker inspired by a formerly very popular patch that you made on Magic Shop Patches. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, Kelly, thank you so much for joining. Listeners, thank you for listening. And until next time, when we talk about episode 2 of the show, until then, I'll see you later. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamanas and Brendan Krugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you can't get enough of the show, you can go to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon for bonus episodes, bonus content, ad-free episodes, a whole bunch of fun stuff. If you want to interact with the community around the show, you can check out the Discord, which is available to all patrons, or we're on social media. We're at Newest Olympian on Instagram, Bluesky, and Twitter. And we've got a subreddit, reddit.com/r/thenewestolympian. You can also show your love for TNO by getting TNO merch at thenewestolympian.com/merch. Of course, I want to give a huge shout out to our producer level patrons, Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Mick Walters, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jackson, Kit Kat Crumbs, Jim Jam Koopy, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black, Vespa, Zayden Wintergate, Terry Rothfuzz, and Certified Ghost King's emotional support friend. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth is essential for podcast growth. You can tell a friend directly, say, hey, there's this Percy Jackson podcast I think you would like, check it out. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using, or you could just talk about the show on social media. All these things really do help. I really appreciate anyone who has done so in the past, and I appreciate anyone who will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tuned into our next episode, where we'll be joined by Johnny Frolickstein to break down episode 2 of season 2 of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So on this trip, we have been bouncing around quite a bit. We basically went from New York to LA, and then from LA to Utah, which is where I'm at right now. Then we'll go from Utah to Texas, Texas to New Zealand, New Zealand to Australia, Australia back to New Zealand, New Zealand to Texas, Texas to New York. Because of that, Kelly and I had to pack very efficiently, and part of that process is packing our clothes into these like compression packing cubes that are zipper based. So you have like one zipper to put the stuff in, and then one zipper to like keep it tight and compressed. So I'm just going to undo and redo those zippers as the ASMR Mike segment of this episode. While I do this, I'll explain, in case you are a newcomer to the Newest Olympian, ASMR Mike is a segment that I started because there was this weird problem where episodes were getting cut off early. So I added the ASMR Mike segment just to like have optional listening material that would make the episode longer so it wouldn't get cut off. But then if you were listening on a platform that wasn't cutting it off, it would be okay and you get extra fun bonus things. But then I talked with a friend of mine and he told me how to fix the problem. And we've had this problem fixed for years now. Like I want to say we fixed it in like episode 20 something of the Newest Olympian. And I'm still going strong because it's really fun. But yes, that's that. Thank you so much for listening.